subhanahu wa ta'ala might give me health and give me life and give me freedom, because we live in a dangerous time now. We don't know when we might lose our freedom. So that I may be able to write these books on Dajjal, inshallah, while still I have life, I still have health, and I still have freedom. Dua is very, very important. If you call on Allah, Allah can answer dua. Maybe your dua might be answered. So that's the news for the book on Dajjal. You can pre-order the book, just send an email. I've asked them to put it on my bookstore, but they have not put it as yet, a link for ordering, but just send an email to pre-order the book. Now then, about marriage, and all our sisters who want to get married, and all the brothers out there. I had a huge number of brothers who wrote to me who want to get wives or second wives, and who want to get milk al-yamin. Well, let me first remind you, you cannot ask a sister to become your milk al-yamin. No. Milk al-yamin is a second-class status to that of a full wife. And a woman cannot be invited to accept a second-class status, because she's not going to be maintained equally with your wife. And if you die, she does not inherit from you. If she has children, of course, the children of the milk al-yamin has equal status with the children of the wife of nikah. But since she is going to have a second-class status, you cannot invite her to accept that status. No, no, I protest. It is she who has to offer herself. And she will offer herself only if there is no alternative. She cannot get a husband. She's not prepared to take a garbage bin as a husband. No, she wants to get a good man. She wants to get a pious man. She wants to get a man with some qualities, some character, some intelligence, some piety, a man of certain status, a man of some spiritual eminence. She wants such a man. And if she cannot find such a man as a husband, she's not prepared to accept a garbage bin. No. So in the event that a woman, a sister, cannot find a husband that is suitable to her, and she finds a man who has these qualities and who has the means to maintain, she can offer herself to him, not to every Tom, Dick and Harry, excuse my language. She is going to offer herself to someone who is suitable to her, who meets her standards. And when she offers herself to him, and he has the means to be able to maintain her, he has to be careful, very careful, to turn her down. Yes, remember, we live in dangerous times, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to every woman the right to a husband or to a guardian. A man does not have a right to a wife, no. But a woman has a right to a husband or to a guardian. And a man has a duty to marry or to accept her as milk al-yamin, which is the second kind of marriage, really. So if she offers herself to you, and if you have the means to maintain her, then you have to be very, very, very careful before you turn her request down. I want to remind you of the prophecy of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, which I have always understood, or rather misunderstood. And tonight I want to correct myself. He said that among the signs of the last day is that one man would have to maintain 50 women, one man. this does not mean that every man out there will have to do that. This means that there will be some men who will have to do this, will have to maintain 50 women. Maintaining 50 women is not having sexual relations with 50 women. Wrong. He said maintain them. Why would this take place? Answer, one of the reasons could be, and this is the one I've always been mentioning, a precipitous or alarming decline in the birth of baby boys, and therefore a preponderance of baby girls, and you don't have enough boys to marry the girls. This is the view I've always been mentioning for years and years and years now. But now I'm realizing that, wait, this is not the whole story. Remember, he said that not only would women dress like men, which is already happening, so women will assume the functional role of men in society, misguided women, but he said that men would dress like women, which would imply that men will abandon their role and function in society of maintaining women. Yes. Men would stop maintaining women. As men stop maintaining women, men stop marrying women. They prefer to be single. They don't want to marry. That's right. As men stop maintaining women, or they would marry, and she has to go and work to maintain them. I've seen this with my eyes. Yes. So this is an age in which we're now moving towards this calamitous decline and collapse of the functional role of men and women in society. So as men stop maintaining women, large numbers of women are going to be without husbands. Large numbers, increasing numbers of women without husbands. And therefore, an increasing decline, calamitous decline in the number of men who will maintain women. And therefore, men of piety, men of substance, men who are truly men of Islam, and who have the means to maintain, these are the ones who are now going to have to do what has never been done before in history. Yes. If I had the means to do it, I'd do it myself. I would build huts, a village, and build huts for all the women who want to come and live in the village, who are single women. So a woman will have a place to live in a little hut, yes, like the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, and the village will feed them. You have enough food in the village to feed them. They have security because you're living in a community. You have company, you're not lonely. You know how many women are lonely in the world today? If you cannot get a male companion as a husband who has his milk al-yamin, and you have to live with that part of your life not fulfilled, at least the other parts will be fulfilled. So this is the meaning that one man would have to maintain 50 women. Why? Because increasing numbers of women are going to be single with no one to maintain them, and increasing numbers of men are going to be abandoning their role of maintaining and taking care of women. That is my understanding of the hadith now. So we have this large number of people who have responded to my last lecture on the subject, and what I need now is, I cannot have my assistant doing this work of managing this site because she has many other things to do. What I would like to do is to find maybe a husband and wife team, and not young, maybe some elderly people, a husband and wife team who would contact me and be willing to assume this responsibility. And I will then forward to you all the emails I've got from the brothers and all the emails I've got from the sisters. And this is a delicate task. This has to be performed with delicacy, carefully, to ensure that you protect our sisters and don't put them into a situation that is difficult for them. And then as you as this marriage site is managed efficiently, alhamdulillah, we'll be able to pair them off and marriages will take place. And when a sister finds someone who is suitable and she wants to offer herself as Milk al-Yamin to him, and he agrees to accept her as Milk al-Yamin, then remember what I have said to you. Remember, you will have to have a contract of nikah in order to protect yourself from a charge of zina. Once you have the contract of nikah, no one can open their mouth. Between you and Allah, the relationship is milk al-yamin. Yes. So if you do not maintain her equally with your wife, the society has nothing to do with that. Nothing. You are entering into this relationship as milk al-yamin. You accepted that he will maintain you to the extent that he has the capacity to maintain you. Will there have to be a legal framework to ensure that when you die, such a milk al-yamin does not make a claim on your property? This is beyond my, my scholarship. Someone will have to advise on that. So I hope and pray that we'll have some volunteers. Please contact me, send me an email if you're prepared to manage this marriage site, so that we can pair off now the very large numbers of people who have contacted me, even from Pakistan, that they would like to get married, they need a spouse. And don't write to me and tell me if you're a brother that you want a milk al-yamin. No. If you're a sister, you can offer yourself. If you're a brother, you cannot ask for it. Good. All right, then. I made a mistake, and I want to correct it. Concerning China and the gold dinar, the gold coins, someone has sent me an email to inform me that gold and silver coins were freely available in China, and there were millions of automatic machines that you could go like an ATM machine. And I got an email from China a few days ago, a very important person in China, who said to me, no, Sheikh, that's not true. Yes, the gold and silver coins are freely available in China, millions and millions of what you call them, banks, where you can go and buy gold coins. The Chinese do that. They're buying the gold and silver coins from the banks, but not from a machine. So I have corrected myself on that issue. Now, before I end today, there is one more subject. It is a very important subject. Let me see if I can summarize it. Over this last 1 week, the world has commemorated the 100th anniversary of the centenary of the Bolshevik Revolution, which occurred in Russia in November of 1917. They use the Justinian calendar, and on this side of the world they use the Gregorian calendar, and I think there are a few days difference between the two. This is why this side celebrates Christmas in December and that side celebrates Christmas in January, because of the difference between the Justinian calendar and the Gregorian calendar. Anyhow, the Bolshevik Revolution took place 100 years ago, and 100 years later it is crystal clear to me that this was a plot, this was a plan, a cleverly designed, satanic plan on the part of the Western world, the powers of the Western world, to destroy Orthodox Christianity in Russia, to take control of Russia and to brutalize Russia. And in the process of doing that, to be able to fulfill the major goal of the First World War, which started in 1914 and which was almost completed by 1917 when the Bolshevik Revolution took place. When the Western world was planning for the First World War, they started several years before. Their planning is like a chessboard, moving the pawns on the chessboard. They plan in advance. This is what they're doing with electronic money, planned way in advance. While we are eating roti canai and drinking teh tarik, they are plotting and planning ahead in advance, yeah, many years ahead. It was in 1909 or 1908 or 1907, excuse me, I can't remember, when they negotiated, Britain and France negotiated with Russia. So tried to embrace Russia, who was a traditional foe, a rival to the West. Oh yes, because that was Orthodox Christianity, and this is Western Christianity, and the two didn't have much love for each other at all. So it was a surprising move on the part of Britain and France to reach out to Russia and to try to seduce Russia into entering an alliance with them. And the bait which they use, which the Russian government swallowed hook, line, and sinker, Tsar Nicholas was the Tsar of Russia at that time, was that if we win this war, you will get Constantinople. That's right. And that was too great a bait for Russia not to accept. The bait is being offered to Iran now. So long as Ayatollah Khamenei is there, I don't think Iran will swallow that bait. No. So long as Ayatollah Khamenei is in charge of Iran, I don't think Iran will swallow the bait. I won't tell you what the bait is. It's too volatile a subject, so let me leave that, be silent on that subject. What is the bait being offered to Iran? But they offered the bait to Russia. And the bait was Constantinople. That if we win this war, you get Constantinople. And Russia accepted the bait, and Russia entered into an alliance with Britain and France. Astonishingly, first time in history. First time, I believe. If I'm wrong, correct me. Why did they reach out to Russia? Answer: they wanted to checkmate the Ottoman Empire. The major target of the war was not Germany. The major target of the war was not Russia. The major target of the war was the Ottoman Empire. They wanted to defeat the Ottoman Empire. They wanted to dismantle the Ottoman Empire so that they could liberate the Holy Land and they could restore a state of Israel in the Holy Land. That is the major point, the major objective of the First World War. And if the Ottoman Empire, which has traditionally been a friend of Britain and France, and Russia has always been the greatest enemy of all of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans waged endless wars against Russia, endless wars, and great hatred for Russia. The Tatar in Crimea were always enslaving the Russians and selling them as slaves to Constantinople. Yeah, they were very happy to have Russian slaves. So, and then sometimes they'll take the slaves back to Moscow, to try to get the release of the slave. They have to pay for them. I forget the use of the word now. What is it? To ransom the slaves. Anyhow, when you read the history of the Tatar in Crimea, you could see the role that they were playing in the hostile relations with Russia on behalf of the Ottoman Empire. So if Russia were to join with Britain and France in an alliance, then in the coming war, the Ottoman Empire will not be able to join on this side, which they would almost not automatically do. The British and the French wanted the Ottomans to join the side of Germany. And therefore, in order to force them to join the side of Germany, they had to bring Russia into their fold. Once Russia is with them, the Ottomans will not come. So that's how they were able to push the Ottoman Empire into a corner so that the Ottoman Empire will be on the other side, on the support of Germany in the war. And number two, when the war did start, they were to cleverly ensure that Russia did all the fighting. While the British and the French will do some side maneuverings and so on and pretend that they were fighting and that they had suffering great losses and so on in Dardanelles. But the master plan was that the Russians would do the bulk of the fighting, that the Russians would suffer the most from the war, that the mighty Ottoman Empire's war machine would be all forced to launch their wars against Russia, not Britain and France so much, but Russia. And as Russia took blow after blow after blow after blow, large numbers of Russians are being killed in the war, the Russian economy will be under strain. And then you have to have someone who agrees to this stupid plan of printing and printing and printing more and more paper money to try to finance the war. That's what the Zionists wanted, so that you can have inflation in Russia. And as inflation get up to runaway inflation, the farmers now can get nothing for their food that they produce. So instead of producing the food and bringing it to the market, the farmers prefer to produce just enough food for themselves. And so there's massive starvation in Russia. And calamitous inflation in Russia. And whenever you have this runaway inflation, you're going to have resentment in the masses, as you're seeing there in Venezuela. Yes, this is the most dangerous weapon that Dajjal has today in the modern world, and that is inflation. Inflation. And 3 times in the Quran, Allah has prohibited it. Do you know the verse? Have you ever been told? 3 times in the Quran, Allah has said, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. He says, وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُم. Do not diminish people's property. Do not cause the value of people's property to diminish, the value of people's labor to diminish, become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. This is bakhs. And this is done through inflation. And the inflation has come as a consequence of the bogus monetary system. As the value of the money falls, the prices rise. So anytime they want to target a government to try to bring about regime change, they attack you with inflation. That is the most important point today in the world. It's not nuclear war at all. The most important one is inflation. So every government now is careful not to cross the line, because they know if they cross the line, the price that they will pay is inflation. And if they have inflation, the people will turn against them. And there will be revolution and the government will be swept away. So they're all very careful to toe the line that Wall Street writes for them. This is what happened in Russia. And as the farmers stop producing food, and as prices continue to rise above and above and above and above, it was not socialism, no, that caused the Bolshevik Revolution. Don't come with that kind of argument to me, that it was capitalism versus socialism in Soviet Union, in Russia, and the Bolshevik Revolution came because... No. It is a Zionist conspiracy to bring about a monetary system that will cause inflation. That is the cause of it. And so the regime in Russia, as a 1917 approach, was becoming increasingly unpopular, and the conditions were being created, as they're trying to do it in Venezuela now, for the regime to be overthrown. And eventually, in November of 1917, the revolution took place. And then they took control of Russia. They then proceeded to establish the Soviet Union as an atheist state, so that they could destroy and dismantle the Orthodox Christian foundations of Russian society. This is my brief analysis of the Bolshevik Revolution. I want my sons, who are scholars of Islam tomorrow, and my daughters, who are going to be scholars, I want you to do your homework as I have done my homework. I'm setting the example for you, that you not only have to study the Quran and the Hadith, you also have to study the world and study history, and study politics and study economics, and you must be able to integrate them all. And our point of integration here is eschatology. This is all being done so that they could further their designs in the Holy Land, so that eventually Pax Judaica would replace Pax Americana, and that a man will stand up in Jerusalem and declare, I am the Messiah. No, he will not be the Messiah. He will be Dajjal, the false Messiah. I want to thank you once again for this chance to talk to you from my sitting room here in the Caribbean island of Trinidad. And I may have another one session with this and 2 more at IBN before I travel. And after that, when I'm abroad, I hardly think I'll have a chance to do the recording. So do please raise your hands and make dua for me that I may be able to have safe travel. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين.